The courtroom was full that morning. The hum of quiet whispers, the shuffle of papers, the clicking of shoes against polished floors. Judge Frank Caprio sat on the bench with his calm, familiar warmth, the kind of presence that made justice feel human. Across the room, a well-dressed woman sat confidently. Her pearl necklace shimmered beneath the courtroom lights, her expression a cocktail of amusement and arrogance. She looked at the man beside her, a poor father, visibly nervous, his worn-out jacket and rough hands revealing years of struggle. As his name was called, he stepped forward, clutching a crumpled paper, a citation he could barely afford. The woman chuckled softly, almost mockingly, as if his pain was a show made for her entertainment. That laugh, quiet but sharp, sliced through the air. Judge Caprio looked up. Something shifted behind his kind eyes. The man's name was Thomas Reed, a factory worker who had spent most of his life patching machines and juggling double shifts to feed his 2 kids. His wife had passed away years ago, and the burden of life had slowly folded his shoulders inward. The woman, Victoria Hale, was the owner of the very company that had once fired Thomas after an injury slowed him down. She didn't recognize him, or perhaps she didn't care to. For her, this courtroom was another stage where wealth meant dominance, and everyone else was beneath her. Thomas's fine wasn't much, a small traffic ticket, but for him it meant choosing between paying the court or feeding his children that week. Victoria smirked as he tried to explain his situation. Her laughter grew louder, not in cruelty, but in disbelief that someone could be so poor, so defeated, so desperate. But Judge Caprio saw what no one else did, dignity still flickering in the man's eyes. The courtroom quieted. Judge Caprio leaned forward, his expression unreadable. He didn't speak right away. Instead, he watched Thomas, how his hands trembled, how his voice cracked yet carried honesty. And he glanced at Victoria, perfectly composed, tapping her manicured nails on the desk as if waiting for the show to end. That silence grew heavy. Even the officers shifted uncomfortably. Caprio's words, when they came, were calm, but they carried weight. His tone wasn't anger. It was disappointment wrapped in compassion. The woman's smirk faltered. Something in the judge's quiet presence reminded her that power and money had never been true measures of worth. As Judge Caprio reviewed the file, he noticed something. The address on Thomas's ticket was in the poorest part of town, the same street where a community soup kitchen had recently burned down. Caprio asked a few questions, each one uncovering a piece of truth. Thomas wasn't making excuses. He had been late that day because he was delivering leftover food from his workplace to homeless families who had nowhere else to go. Victoria's eyes widened. The courtroom froze. The man she had laughed at wasn't irresponsible, he was selfless. And the fine he couldn't pay came from an act of kindness. As Thomas stood in silence, his memories flooded, carrying a tray of warm meals through the cold night, his daughter asking why they had to give food away when they didn't have enough themselves. He had smiled and told her, because when you have nothing, kindness is the only thing you can still give. Judge Caprio listened, truly listened, and the entire courtroom did too. Victoria shifted uncomfortably. For the first time, her laughter had vanished. Her shoulders stiffened. The mirror of truth was now facing her, and she didn't like what she saw. Judge Caprio closed the file slowly. The air grew still. He turned his gaze toward Victoria. His voice was calm but carried authority, the kind that didn't need volume to command respect. He reminded her, and everyone in that room, that justice isn't about wealth or pride. It's about humanity. That compassion is the foundation of every great society. As he spoke, the courtroom wasn't just listening, it was feeling. The moral gravity of his words pulled every heart closer to humility. Victoria's head lowered slightly. Her confidence cracked. Then came the moment. Judge Caprio smiled gently and looked at Thomas. He declared that the fine would be dismissed completely. Not only that, the court would cover the amount through a community assistance fund, recognizing his good deed. Gasps filled the room, but Caprio wasn't done. He turned to Victoria and asked her to donate to the same fund, not as punishment, but as a chance to give back, to rediscover her humanity. That's when it happened. The silence, the instant price. Victoria's arrogance melted into shame. Her laughter was replaced by a trembling nod. When the session ended, Victoria quietly approached Thomas outside. Her tone was no longer superior. It was human. She apologized. She even offered to help his children's education. Thomas didn't say much.